Sirens busy jiving. Guess I'll make my move. Crazy feet unraveling me. Nothing.
Natalie Gauci, welcome to Pete's Voodoo Room.
Thanks for having me, Pete.
Lovely to have you here. Natalie, what inspired you to pursue a career in your field?
I had a lot of inspiration from many different things. First, acting was my passion and inspiration. And when I was doing my acting course, I was only 12, and a lot of teenagers, I was the youngest, and they were like 15, 16-year-olds. But every Saturday morning we had singing as part of the acting. And I remember I did You Better Stop by, I think it's Sam Brown, and then everyone was like, oh, this little girl has a voice. And when I saw the reactions of everybody, I thought, maybe I should do singing. So then the acting school introduced me to the theatre side, and I ended up doing musical theatre all through my teenage years. And then I had a lot of teenage troubles, and then I started writing music as my muse, as my therapy. And I'd practiced piano my entire life, and I was always inspired by practicing music. So I just put my piano practice with my pain, started writing songs, and never stopped, really. Yeah.
So what was the first step to you becoming a professional musician from that process? Like going, music is my pathway, this is what I want to do, and this is the steps I'm going to do to create my career in it. How did that all begin from that process?
Well, I had a lot of different skills with my music because I had piano, I was playing trumpet, and I was a singer. And I got a scholarship to VCA high school. And
that was VCAS, right?
VCAS, yeah. And I didn't know what instrument I wanted to even be my first instrument. And so I put them all up as number one, and I thought, well, they can choose it for me. And for some reason it was trumpet. And so I was doing all the trumpet ensembles and everything, and I just wasn't that good. Like, there were so many other way better trumpet players. You're nodding your head like, yeah, I know. And anyway, Rob Burke?
Yeah,
you know Rob Burke?
I know you're on.
So he was taking our jazz ensemble, and there were like 6 trumpet players and no singers in the band. And so we were doing Lover Man, and he just brought out the mic and he's like, we need a singer. So I said, I'll give it a go. And just sang on the spot, learnt the melody of the song straight away. And he came back to me afterwards and he said, you can have this microphone, bring it next week, leave the trumpet at home. And I thought, that's good advice. And that's when I knew I had it. I was like, okay, yeah. I was like, this is my thing. This is what I'm going to do. And I had Michelle Nicole as my vocal coach at the time. And she took me to one of her gigs and let me sing at her show. And I think that was another thing. I was like, yeah, I can do this. There's the fact that she let me at 16 years old go and sing at one of her gigs. I thought, maybe I'm ready to do this. So I went.
Where was that gig?
I can't remember. It was just at one of those.
Bennett's Lane?
No. It was like one of those residencies that you get like in Brunswick. It was one of those kind of bars.
Okay, yeah.
And yeah, I just got up and had a sing with her.
And you were nervous and you were apprehensive or anything like that?
No, I was so eager to do it. And I was nervous, obviously, but I just remember really feeling like, yeah, this is something I can do.
So you got the timing right? Everything was cool.
Yeah. Timing was right. I think her husband was playing drums.
Yeah.
Ronnie,
yeah.
And it was really good.
Cool.
Yeah, she inspired me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She inspired you.
She did, yeah.
So she was one of your inspirations.
Yes. And she said to me, Natalie, you'll never make it because you're too versatile. You've got to stick to one thing. And it's really funny because I've never actually stuck to one thing my entire life. I've just gone, when I practice something, I will be obsessed with that style and I will hone in on it and I will learn it. But when it comes to, if you, like for me, if I'm capable of singing a Mariah Carey song and then singing a jazz song, why would I just stick to jazz if I can do both? Like it's boring, in a sense.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so that's one thing that she said to me as well. But yeah,
You got to hone in on your energy.
you got to focus on one thing. Yeah.
And were you able to do that eventually? Or?
I think now I am. Yeah. I think with the country stuff.
So it's taken you a while to realise that one thing.
Yeah, but you know, like if I got booked to do a jazz show, I'd do it. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's good to be versatile. So I don't actually agree with what she said, but yeah.
Fair enough.
But I appreciate it.
If you ever could describe your journey in 3 words, what would they be?
If I could describe my journey?
Yeah, in
3 words.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Challenging, exciting, and crazy.
It's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
Where would the challenge come from?
Just personal things that I've had to go through, because I feel like I've had really high successes in my life, and every time something good happens that way, it comes with so much responsibility, and it just triggers me in very deep places, and then I've got to go there and face it all, and very challenging.
Did that happen when you won Idol?
Yes, that was my very first kind of trigger, where I realised I had some issues I had to deal with if I was going to continue on that road. Yeah. And I'm still dealing with that now. And that's like 17 years.
17 years of grief?
Yeah.
Wow, that's... I don't think people understand the complexities of winning a show like that, because as you have touched on it previously, winning Idol... what was your expectations from it from the onset? Did you think, with all the cameras and the glitter and all the publicity that you were getting from Idol, did you think that was going to be a continuous throughout your life with that part of it? Like you'll just move to the next step and it'll get bigger and bigger and you'll get international success and it'll snowball from there? Or was it something else?
It was half and half. I think I was torn between that belief and then my artist mind. So I always battled with that from the start. So every time I got interviewed after the win, I'd always say, like, I'm naive to the music industry. You know, I don't even know. Like, Idol was just this big bubble. And now I'm in the music industry and I'm, like, petrified because I don't want to put out a bad song. You know, like, it's my name that's going to go out there. And if the record label are putting what they want into it, then how do I compromise with that and how do I work with that? And then what happens to me and my family? What happens to overseas success? Like, so I had this opportunity to go to Malta after my tour because I won Australian Idol, and then I did a tour, and then I did an interview with Malta, Times of Malta, and they're like, we want you to come here. But the record label had other plans for me, and if I didn't push that myself, I wouldn't have gone there. I would have just done what they wanted me to do. But that was the first naughty thing that I did, you know? So, and that's when I opened my eyes and I thought, hang on, what do I actually want here? Do I want a career where I'm going to be boxed up and have to compromise my music and then do like, have hits but maybe not be 100% fulfilled? Or do I leave it and just do my own overseas trip and do my own thing? You know, so it was a battle for a few years.
Malta would have been exciting because...
Well, I did Malta.
Did you do
it? Yeah, right. It was awesome. It was really good, you know, because I'd never been there and that's my heritage. So it was so nice to just meet my culture and heritage, and that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, because I know that there's a girl at the moment, I think her name is something Muscat, Emma Muscat.
Okay.
And she is a model / singer, and she's been very successful in Italy because she speaks fluent Italian.
Wow.
And she goes over to Sicily and Calabria and places like that in the south of Italy, and she's collaborated with pop idols from Italy.
Oh, nice.
And her career is just like gone, you know.
There you go.
And that's the sort of pathway I reckon you could have probably touched on, you know, that you could have gone more into the European side of things.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that could have been an option that you could have tapped into.
Yeah, well, I ended up getting a Maltese passport while I was there, and I was hoping to do more international travel. But then when the battle started, like this internal battle with the label and the whole like perspective on fame and...
But don't they have Sony in Italy?
Yeah, but it's different.
Right.
They're all different.
Yeah, they're not the same.
No,
right?
because when I was in America, I was still signed to Sony and I was writing there. And I remember I bumped into Usher just in the clothes shop. And, and I said to Ross, I'm like, hey, I just bumped into Usher. I'm like, why aren't I writing with these kind of writers? Why aren't I over there?
Yeah.
I couldn't understand it. And then they just, nothing, silence. And I thought they mustn't have any, you know, pull or connection with America Sony. It's two different things.
Yeah, but I thought they had a relationship with New York, like Sony, because I know when the Four Corners report came out with Dennis Hanlon and all that sort of thing, it was Sony New York that was pulling the strings and keeping him in the job for many, many years, whilst they knew the troubles that he had.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Yeah, so there definitely were
Okay.
connections in America, but who knows? Like,
But maybe
you know,
not artist connections. Maybe it was like CEO kind of connections.
It's a funny one because there's been a lot of artists that have been on Sony's roster for many, many decades, and I think the height of it was in the 80s and early 90s, that sort of period of time. It definitely shaped the Australian music scene. I don't really know if they had success with... Look, I know that like Rick Price had some subtle success in America, Jack Jones, you know, just very minimal amounts of success, you know, so it's very hard. I mean, NXS was the biggest one. I don't know if they were with Sony though.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think they were signed to an American label, but
Yeah.
I don't know. And look, if you know, like all the stuff that's coming out now with Hollywood, I think it's like a cult in a way. And to be honest, I'm kind of glad that I didn't go that in direction. So yeah, I think maybe it's a blessing.
Hollywood's a different thing though.
Well,
know?
music and it's connected.
Yeah.
It's all connected, for sure.
It's all connected.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Makes me a bit scared, that stuff.
Yeah.
What's a book or movie that has significantly impacted your life?
Well, two biggest books that have impacted my life. The first one's by Louise Hay. It's called You Can Heal Your Life.
You know about that book?
I've read that book
How
like
many times have you
50
read it?
times, like a Bible. And the Bible is the other one. So,
You know, my brother gave me that book when I was really sick.
wow, I love your brother. That's so nice of him to do that. Honestly, he must
did.
really care about you.
I remember I was really sick, and this is like 1992. I got back. I just came back from Europe, and I was really sick, and I didn't know what was going on. Anyway, I had to go through this whole procedure and find out through different tests and find out what was wrong with me. And during that period of time, he took me to a naturopath, and he gave me this Louise Hay's book. And I looked at the cover because it was white with a rainbow, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's a rainbow heart.
It's a rainbow heart, that's right. And I was, at the time, I was a bit confused what was going on. I was in my early 20s, you know.
Oh,
and
okay.
I was reading the book and I'm going, this doesn't make any sense to me, you know, like... And then you'd read more, and then I'd be in hospital and I'd be reading chapters and I'd be like, yeah, I get it. I sort of get it. And then as I went through, I got a little bit more, But it really didn't sort of, the penny didn't drop with me with that book until many years later. Because I could actually conceptualize, I mean, at 23 or 22 years of age, you don't really have the baggage.
The wisdom,
We don't have the baggage. You know? You think you've got the baggage, but the baggage you've got is normal stuff. You know, it's not major.
First world problems of where's my phone? Where's my keys?
So, you know, but later in life, it definitely, it's an interesting book how it can sort of tie you in terms of reflection, you know, and how you're made up by all these things, and you know, if you want to break those habits and things, you've really got to look at yourself and make those changes.
And how emotions trigger illness.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So, And there's this one, so it was like a Bible to me at one point, because every time I felt something, because I was always losing my voice. And I'm just like, why am I getting a sore throat all the time? So I kept looking at like the throat, and there's sayings at the back, the affirmations that you can say. And there's one of them says, I open my heart and sing with the joys of love, right? And so that was my mantra and my affirmation for years. And I still use it, and I use it with my students as well. And now, after all these years, like, I don't know, 15 years I've had that book. I actually gave it to someone else, but I know it. I've got the PDF on my phone now. I just, but I know it off by heart. And, the thing that has stayed with me and grown with me is that, like, in my heart and in all our hearts, we trap emotions in there. And it's not till we have like an overt sickness or something that comes out exaggerated in the body that we realize, or some people don't ever realize, that actually this is an emotion that's making me feel sick. Because I have kept this pain so deep inside of me that I haven't even looked at what it could possibly be.
Yeah.
So how do I get that joy? Like, I can say the affirmation, I've just forgotten what it is. I open my heart and sing with the joys of love. But what is joy? What is love? What is, it goes, there's so many levels, And then that led me to like the Bible. So now I've started reading the Bible. I read like a scripture every day.
That led you to the Bible?
Yeah.
What's the relationship between that and the Bible?
Well, because I was still feeling that pain. Like I wasn't healing. Like, even though I read that book.
Were you writing affirmations?
Yes, I was right. And they do work. Like, on a surface level, they do work. Like, we can manifest things for ourselves. But when you get to a point where you've manifested stuff, there's more depth into it. It's not just about having the best house, the best car, the best all of this. Like, we are human, and we have a soul, and that you can't manifest on your own. I believe that there's a higher power out there, that can help heal our bodies. So that's what I started to search for. And I went on a journey to lots of different religions. I started off doing chanting Buddhist, like Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. I just wanted to open my heart. That was my mission. So I thought chanting would do that. So I'd sit and chant for hours and hours. And it did work, but it didn't. I still had that emptiness. And then I became Hare Krishna, and that was good.
You became a Hare Krishna?
Yeah. I started going
chanting down the street,
vegetarian, and all of that stuff.
Were you chanting?
I was chanting Hare Krishna, but I wasn't in the group, that did the singing and all that. No.
You should have done that. That would have been fun.
Well, no, I just had my beads, and I don't know, they just took me on another journey. So I ended up becoming a spiritual healer. And but that led me down a dark road, because then I started believing that my spiritual healing was helping people, that I was the healer, I was playing God, and then people were worshipping me. And then, that took me straight down to what I believe I saw was hell. And so I remember having a photo shoot, and I said to the photographer, this is horrible things are happening to me. I can't smile today. And I told him, and he said, you need to say Jesus. And then I started saying that, and that started changing my life. And that's when I started wanting to know more about Jesus. So I started reading the Bible. And that is solid. That's solid. All the answers are there. You don't have to look anywhere else. Yeah, for me anyway.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
What's one piece of advice you wish you had received earlier in your career?
That's a good question. I wish someone had have told me or warned me about the music industry and how hard it is. And
they don't teach that at VCAS.
No.
I think they should.
I think so. I think there's a lot of rose-coloured glasses going on,
totally.
A lot of deception. And if someone just had have said to me, get a good therapist, get some support, trust your mates.
I mean, when I started my arts degree, the first thing they said to us in our fine arts degree course was, this is the first day, was this is not a vocation course, this is a hobby.
Oh.
And I'm like, hold on, I'm going to spend $50,000
On a hobby.
And don't have any outcomes for it, you know. So what's the point, you know? And I was a bit disheartened, and I just thought, well, I'm going to raise the challenge and actually beat it. I'm going to do what I set out to do, want to do, you know what I mean? And I sort of have done that, but there's a long way for me to go as well, you know. But that's the thing about education, I guess, is that when you're doing these sort of arts curriculum, I just feel that they should be more realistic, but they don't have to break the soul of the people who are trying to do. There's got to be a middle ground there somewhere, you know?
Yeah, like for me, I could have not suffered as much because I did go through quite a lot of abuse, and I don't think that's necessary. You don't have to sacrifice your soul to be a muso, to be a singer, to be... You know, I think fame and being an artist are two completely different things.
Yeah, they are. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, I'm a single parent, so parenting is my first priority. And in the morning, I've learnt to give myself some self-care. So I now take time in the morning because my son's 5, so he can occupy himself. So in the morning we have our own time for like a good 40 minutes and do our thing, and then we have breakfast, and what else do we do? Then it's just like he does his activities, I do mine, we do some together, and sometimes that's seeing family. It depends on the day. Gosh, it's such a hard question to answer. I have so many things going on. At the moment it's just like we're transitioning to moving from New South Wales to Melbourne. So it's just about starting again. So we're looking for a place to live, we're looking for a school, we're looking for, you know, deciding whether I do homeschooling this year or next year or not. So the day-to-day stuff, the main foundational stuff that we do is survival, you know, like making sure we eat healthy, making sure we get good sleep, making sure we have good people, healthy relationships, good conversations, learning discernment, when to not do something and do something, making good choices. That's me at the moment. Yeah.
Well, that's not an easy thing to navigate through.
No.
You know. If you could collaborate with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
Elvis.
Elvis?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You'd like to collaborate with Elvis?
Yeah.
Where would you start with that?
I just love to have a jam, have a sing, like write a song or...
With Elvis?
Yeah.
What part of Elvis?
The blues, country blues kind of style.
Which is that in his middle career? So I like the later stuff personally.
Okay.
You know, where he was in the white suits and...
Yeah.
You know, I think that was more soul, right?
Gospel.
Gospel, yeah.
Definitely.
So Elvis would be the person you... Yeah. Okay. Of course, you're Maltese. There's two things, Jesus and Elvis. That's it, you know. Jesus is in the bedroom and Elvis is in the toilet, you know, the picture.
I like it. That could be a good album cover.
If you could give one gift to everyone in the world, what would it be?
Oh, well, I feel like my gift is singing, and I feel like I give that a lot all the time to a lot of countries in the world. Probably knowledge. I think I have good wisdom and knowledge that I'd like to give to the world, yeah. I'd probably talk about what we were talking about before in terms of like discovering where our pain is and learning how to actually access that pain to become healthy so we don't get sick, because a lot of people are getting sick, a lot of children are getting sick, and I think it's a massive pandemic at the moment. And I do have a good way of learning how to heal, and it's not spiritual healing, but it's definitely a gift that I have that I could share with people. Maybe a podcast or something.
Yeah, why not?
That could be cool.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well,
you know, that's my 10 questions.
Okay.
That's gone pretty quick. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it greatly, and all the best for your career going forward and your new adventures in Melbourne.
Thanks, Pete. Thanks for having
No
me.
worries, my pleasure.
Voodoo strikes, it'll tear apart your head when voodoo strikes. You wish that you was dead when voodoo